Welcome back to our summer of executive functioning activities. 2 weeks ago, I gave an introduction into executive functioning, what it is, how it shows up, and why it matters so much. Last week, we had 10 activities under the writing and drawing activity that we can do with our kids for fun and engaging ways to build their executive functioning skills. This week, I have 10 building activities that you can do with your kiddos. And these can be done with any materials or resources that you choose. We typically use Legos as our go-to. It could be magnetic tiles, it could be blocks. Anything that you have that can be used to build is perfectly fine. So here we go. Here are your 10 activities for building executive functioning skills through building. Next up, we have the building activities. Again, these can be Legos, magnetic tiles, Lincoln Logs, marble towers, anything that your child or students like to build with. Number one is building with only one color. This typically isn't that much of a challenge unless you're doing Legos that come in 47 different colors. But building something with only one color, not only does it cause our students to have to think about what they could create with only one color, it also eliminates other pieces, other shapes, other sizes, and it reduces the total number of items they can use. It does not have to be something that only comes in one color. It can be anything they want it to be. They can just only use one color to create it. Number two, similar to our drawing activity, build something that does not yet exist. Number three, build something with every piece in the set. We typically don't do this with Legos because we have a lot of Legos, but we do have magnetic tiles that have a limited number of tiles. We have 2 sets of marble towers that only have so many pieces. We have 2 sets of Jenga blocks that only have so many pieces. I think I said magnetic tiles. Those are the main items that we use for this, something that's limited in the number of pieces it has. I really love it when kids do this on their own. A lot of times when I meet with a new student, I will put magnetic tiles on the table so they have something to do while we're talking. And sometimes they will end up using every piece to create whatever they're choosing to create. It does require cognitive flexibility because usually whatever they set out to build does not require every piece. Some of our sets don't have even sets of shapes or colors. And so we've got to do some flexibility and some problem solving around that as well. Number 4 is 10 or less. What can you build with 10 or less pieces? Pieces of whatever you're using. 10 or less Lego pieces, 10 or less magnetic tiles, 10 or less Jenga blocks. What can you build with 10 or less pieces? Number 5, something you can, and you get to fill in the blank. Something you can eat, something you can drive, something you can ride inside of, something you can buy at a souvenir store. You can completely make this whatever you want to. It helps our kids with context and creativity and attention to detail. Number 6. This is where we start getting more into groups. So far, under building activities, everything has been on our own. You could be in a group, but everything has been on our own. This one takes two sets or groups of building materials. So let's say you have Legos and magnetic tiles and you combine them to build something. And so does the person who has the other set. So let's say student one has Legos, student B has magnetic tiles. We're both going to build something with both sets. We're not building the same thing. We're not building together, but we do have to figure out how to share the pieces, because I have a set and you have a set. We've got to use both. So we've got to figure out how we're going to share the pieces between us. Number 7. Build whatever you want to, and then ... let someone else knock it down. Oh my goodness. This one tends to be really challenging for our kids. They really like the concept of completion. They tend to be really proud of the things that they put time and effort into, as we all do. And some of our kids who are really intense builders don't have the concept of how fun it is to knock things down. And so they get very upset if and when things get knocked down. That's why this one's on here. You can even have students knock down each other's things so that it's not just one person at a time who's the focus. If you have 5 kids in the group, maybe they all get to build something, and then you get to choose who knocks who's down. Number 8, social memory. Social memory is what we remember about other people. However, it is not physical details about them. It's not how tall they are, how old they are, what they look like. Social memory refers to what we remember about them from a social perspective. What are they interested in? What do they like? What do they like to do? What is their personality like? That's social memory. The building task for social memory is to build something for another person. That's pretty open. I'm thinking automatically, we have a student here who really likes cats. We have another student who really likes to crochet. We have another student who really likes Doctor Who. We have students who like Star Wars and Minecraft, all kinds of things. What's something you can remember about someone else? And then what can you build that represents that memory for them? Number 9, teamwork. This is where we start to get into working with other kids. Number 9 is, I do this in pairs. More than 2, I think, would be a little much. With another child or student, decide what you want to build and build it together. Decide what you want to build and build it together. My one caveat for this is that I typically assign the students who are going to do this together, because when we have a more dominant and a less dominant personality together, it does not become a team effort. It becomes the more dominant personality kind of taking over and the less dominant personality being totally fine with that. I tend to put similar personalities together. 2 kids who have more dominant personalities will have to do some work to figure out how to work together, because they're both going to want their idea to be the idea. They're both going to want to talk about how things go. They're both going to want to be in charge, and they're going to have to figure that out together. 2 kids who have less dominant personalities somebody's going to have to say something. Somebody's going to have to step up and have an idea and make a plan. Often our less dominant kids are totally fine hanging out, just letting things happen. When we focus on self-advocacy, our less dominant kids have to be able to speak up for themselves. In an activity like this, that is why I pair more dominant and more dominant and less dominant and less dominant. Otherwise, we fall into the same social patterns that we always have of being more controlling or being more avoidant. And that's not what I'm trying to reinforce. Number 10, I've done this one a couple times. The kids don't love it so much, but I recognize the great capacity it has for teamwork, for cognitive flexibility, all kinds of things that can be a challenge for our kids. This is a group activity. I usually do this in a group of 4. Whatever your building material of choice is, it is provided to all the students. So it's just on the table, on the floor, accessible to everybody. The group does not get to speak to each other, but they are going to build something as a group. One at a time, they take turns adding a piece to the structure, but without being able to talk about it. I also made the additional expectation that they cannot move or remove anything that has already been added. This can be pretty frustrating for kids who like things to be by the rules, orderly, structured, because I've never seen this work out to where they actually create anything. It always ends up just being random pieces stuck together. For our kids who like to be the leader, for our kids who like things to follow the rules, this can be pretty challenging, which is why I love it so much.